I thought that you'll have about 600 questions. Just the number of questions is very small. So perhaps I was so very convincing that I answered all the problems. Nobody has any perplexion. So I should be happy or very unhappy about it. Anyway, let me just answer some of the questions that I received now. And first, let me just thank to Mrs. Hutelen Tool. She was helpful, and basically people who are helpful should be thanked. It is not, we don't always, it is not the reason for doing good things, but it's a little bit of help. It's always useful. Okay, now, questions. Some of the questions about myself. In a way, I didn't really leave mathematics. I'm not doing very much about it now, but I still like it. And mathematics also is more complex than many other things. It's also true about the Talmud that you may have sometimes two or more right answers, which is true about mathematics. It depends on, if to speak about it, for those who know, it depends on what degree is that this particular equation, and the first degree, second, third, or fourth, or 10th. The higher the degree is, the more right answers you have for the same question. Now, if you take the Torah, which is possibly something of a many millions degree, so it must have quite a number of correct answers. But we are trying to find among those answers. This is one of the points about having sometimes two correct answers. It's not enough. It's not enough to say, okay, you are both right. But sometimes it is a matter of decision, and matter of decision also tries to narrow it down to a smaller number. So it's not very simple. This relationship with mathematics and Torah. It's not a simple way. Even though one must remember that learning Talmud is just a very different field. They have as to any kinds of subjects. They may have some points that connect them. But it is not the same. It's not the same way of thinking. It's a different way of thinking, a different way of discussing things, which is always so. I mean, beauty is another thing. Music is a third thing, and so many other things are also different fields of knowledge and understanding. Okay. Now, if the question is, do I use amulets? I don't, and possibly. Okay, the question was whether do I use amulets? So I would say I don't. First of all, because look, the demons that I encounter are possibly too strong to be influenced by amulets. Amulets are good for little demons. Little demons get frightened by amulets, and sometimes they don't want to be in the neighborhood of amulets. The big demons, and those in us are bigger ones, and those out of us sometimes are even bigger. They are not frightened of amulets, so they need other ways of fighting with them. So, but basically, I would say, just as an aside, or not an aside, look, superstition and all kinds of forgery and misuse of other people's belief are not less common now than in the past, perhaps more so. So people should be at least aware that many of those things that are sold for as amulets are perhaps less than useless. When I say less than useless, because sometimes people write an amulet with the belief, with their belief at least, that it's helpful. Some people they do it without any belief, or with less than that. In fact, this amulet also contains a certain amount of evil in it. So you can stop it, because we have all kinds of other kinds of protection which are not used for amulets. See, people use, and again not as amulets, but they use the mezuzah as a kind of a protection. That is not the purpose of it, but it is making a statement. And in many ways, when people make a statement in their way of life, in their behavior, it works as good as any amulet. Now, my important teachers. So I must say that, unfortunately, in many ways, not only me, but perhaps for many generations, we now say that the real great teachers of our time are our books. See, the books that we study, they are the great teachers. But I had a number of teachers. None of them was what I call world famous, but they were people that I not only see. It's not just at the point that somebody teaches you. Because when you ask about people that teach you, you can, and I hope that I'm doing it, you can go in the street and meet what I call a poor guy, poor in every way, and this man can be a teacher. A woman that you encounter that's in a shop may be a teacher, but that's not. But speaking about teachers in the way that's people that I learned from and I respected, and I tried as much as I could to follow them. And in many ways, I mentioned some of them in my books because they were helpful to me in the times when I needed the help. I needed the help being what I call alone and slightly forlorn, and each of them was basically they were important and good people. There were several rabbis that were my teachers in this way. My late uncle was a very important teacher for me and very great influence. But unluckily, I cannot claim to have anybody who was, what I call in that sense, my personal teacher. I had met several great men. I had a connection, a great connection with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and I thought him as a great teacher. Now, if I could say, I'm not sure that I can be called a disciple of his, but at least I try to have the great respect and the relationship with. Now, the question about who are my collaborators. And do you have colleagues? Now, I have lots of collaborators. My work is, even when I'm in those times when I did many things alone, there are always collaborators, from smaller things to bigger things. And I hope that I'm working well together with other people, getting the help and being thankful and remembering them. So that I have in my work colleagues and many other things that I try to do. I have colleagues, again, bigger and smaller, some that I have to respect, some of them that are friends of mine, but at least I have enough collaborators. I have also colleagues in different levels, colleagues in the sense that we have the same kind of notions, have same kinds of dreams, we have the same kinds of work, and we are trying to do. Again, I'm afraid that I cannot claim too many big names, it's a problem. But it is not that because I don't want to, I just find those people that I found almost by chance, by meeting, by seeing them, by having. Sometimes you have a person who is a friend for life, almost from my very beginning, and some that I met in the meantime. I hope that I'm good enough at keeping my friends, and that is something that I may claim some credit of not finding them terribly easily, but those that I find I usually keep, and I hope they also keep the friendship with me. All these were small questions, really not important, because see, for you as an audience, it's just a matter of curiosity, basically. But there are other questions that are not just a matter of curiosity. There are lots of questions about the topic that I spoke about. Mostly, not so much. I hope you don't care that I didn't tell you all the stories about devils. If we would meet face to face, it would possibly be easier. But basically, that's not the really important thing. I hope, at least, that I frightened some of you enough to understand that it is a serious thing that people have to think about. To think about, not to go home with a feeling that there is what I call darkness envelops everything, but basically in the notion of there is something in there, and we have to be aware, and also to have our fight, our quarrel, and standing also firm with where we have to, and understanding what is. So there are all kinds of questions here. Some of them are important, and general that I cannot deal with in general in every way. But did God create evil? In a certain way, of course. God created everything, and I just quote a verse that we misquoted, so to say. We quoted it in a slightly changed way, but it is a verse in the book of Isaiah. It says that I am the Lord that created Yotzer Or V'Choshech, creates lightness, and it creates darkness. Oseh Shalom Uvoreh Ra. That is the real version there. That makes peace and created evil. So the Lord is the creator of everything. Nothing exists. Nothing in any way, in any form, that can't exist without Him. And to believe that that is our basic point of belief. There is no other source of life, of existence, of any kind of existence, which is not God created. But there are all kinds of creatures, and some of these creatures we have to put them in a corner, and instead we put them in our hearts. That is the problem. The problem is that we still have this, which is our distinction as human beings. We have free will, and we could deal with evil as something that is in the periphery of life. In periphery, in a way, as a borderline for things, as the marker that is the white and dark have to mark each other and to border each other. Sometimes we make a mixture of them, but God created evil and takes the responsibility. So now the other question: how should we overcome the evil within us? Well, basically, this question is a great part of mostly of the moral literature of all the world, because that is one of the things that we have to deal with and to fight with. Now, how do we overcome it? First of all, by sometimes understanding what it is. When I don't try to, that's what I try to, most of my speech was mostly about, not just about the devils or the demons. Demons live within me, surely. And sometimes if I look in the mirror, I'm not sure what picture do I see. Many pictures see as the picture of Dorian Gray. They don't see the right face, but they see what they call a cosmetic image that somebody put on them, but not the real face. But how should we overcome it? First of all, by trying to define it, trying to find out about it, and to say, okay, there is something in me that is not good. What it is, because we are different, we have different kinds of predominant evils. Some of us are given to cruelty. Some of us are given to cold-bloodedness. Some of us are given to wrong desires, and some of us are just given to the waste of our life and our time. So we are different kinds of evil, and they don't have any the same strategy. As different melodies don't have it. See, melodies are all around us, and the reasons and the sources for melodies are also surrounding us. So we have different things. Pneumonia is not fought in exactly the same way as cancer. And when a person has a heart attack, it's not the same thing as having a bout of stomachache. So there are different things. And in us, how do we overcome it? See, we try to define it. If we can, we try also to give it, at least to put some lines, some borders to it. See, because if I'm not defining it, and I'm allowing it to spread, it spreads almost in a natural way. This is so many things that are not cultivated, but they grow because nobody sees that they infiltrate our existence. So we should at least try to put them, to define them, and to say, okay, this is a wrong part. Now, sometimes we can overcome them by decision. Most times we overcome them by trying to put on, which is one of the best ways, to put on more positive things. People have all kinds of negative, small negative, big negative parts in them, but they can have also bigger positive parts. And it is a hard work, not an easy work, to work on them. To make the good better. As people said, the best way to fight against darkness is to put more light. So that is a way. Sometimes people have to fight try to contain themselves. I mean, people can do it very easily. They can yield to anything, to any whim, to any desire, to anything that happens, and it happens in so many ways. It's also important. Try to keep better company, and better company means to be with good people is is important, and when we have it, is we get help from, say, if people have, hopefully they do have, when they have good family members, they are helpful. If they don't, they have to change it. If they have, it's from having good neighbors to good partners to good, anything. So we can try it, and we can also sometimes fight against it. I mean, just make a decision. I don't do that thing. I don't go this way. And again, the way is a difficult way. It's a matter of a lifetime of fighting. We don't really know what is the real answer, but sometimes we can advance, pushing some parts aside, making some parts that won't be so important to us. People should remember there are all kinds of evils that are connected with a certain ages. I mean, and sometimes I can evolve beyond the age of 3, and have different desires, and possibly also different vices, and so we can change, and that's so it's a never-ending, basically a never-ending war that people wrote about. It is perhaps it's our part of life. It's our, in a certain way, this constant fighting is our constant glory, because that is life, which is the ups and downs. They're trying to have one thing, as the book of Proverbs speaks about it. Other books is the righteous falls 7 times and rises. The evil ones falls 1. And that's the big distinction. I mean, to be a good person doesn't mean to be completely, everlastingly sweet and nice and holy. But it is the ability. I may fall, I may have a problem, but I try, and I have to try to rise from it. The evil ones don't have too many things. When they fall, they don't stand up. So that is what we can do. Now, about, is anti-Semitism metaphysical? Well, if metaphysical means that it's only an idea, I would say it's not. It's a very real thing. Anti-Semitism is a very real thing, and it appears in so many ways. And you see, for many years, people don't want to call it by its real name. Even the word anti-Semitism, see, anti-Semitism is not anything against Semite people. Anti-Semitism usually doesn't move against Arabs or really Semitic people or many other people that are Semitic. Anti-Semitism is a euphemism instead of saying anti-Jewish. Now you have in many places, and some of these people are so nice, righteous people that they call it anti-Zionism, and they have it. Now I'm not saying that anybody that speaks a word, not a word about the state of Israel, or a word even about Jews, you can say, you can have criticism. But there is a difference between criticism and hatred. And there is a kind of thing which is, if you speak about the demons, it's a very anti-Semitism is a very big demon, a very old one, incidentally. And people don't know that it began much before Christianity, and it goes on. And it is, in so many ways, anti-Semitism is like many other things of supreme evil. It's a mystery. We really don't understand what makes people, some of them are seemingly sane people, become anti-Semitic. What makes people who are theoretically not bad people, how do they become anti-Semitic? And what makes people who possibly never met a Jew or never had anything to any connection with it, also anti-Semitic. So there is something in it, and that is in a certain way, I would say, Jews, for good or bad, they became the people who are raising the flag of the Lord. Possibly we are not the right people to do so. Possibly, if there would be, say, nicer people, they should the proponents of the faith. But on the other hand, we showed, among other things, in the past. First of all, we try to create some good traits inside of us, and not to be ashamed to the flag that we are carrying. More than that, we showed something which is a great thing, even in the Bible. We showed we are not always completely good, but we are always what I call steadfast. We are going in this way. We are falling and falling again. And we are getting hit in a real way, not in a metaphysical way. And we are getting killed in a very real way. And we are being exterminated sometimes in most cruel and evil ways. But still we go on continuing. So possibly the choice of the Lord of taking us was not because we are the best of all possible people, but we are those who can carry the burden. And we are carrying it for more than 3,000 years. It wasn't always an easy thing. And being Jewish in itself is not an easy thing, but still we are doing it. But anti-Semitism is something in it, which is, I would say, it is the feeling, the little feeling of hatred to what not to the Jews, to real Jews, or to other Jews, but really the hatred to what Jews symbolize in a certain way. There is some book that somebody written many years ago about conversations with Hitler. That the author that had the conversations there, he asked Hitler, he said, "You know that all those stories that you publish about Jews, most of them are just simple lies. So really, why do you hate Jews?" And Hitler answered, I cannot get over that point, because they brought into the world morality. Now, we are not always the people that are the symbol of it, but we are becoming the symbol of the existence of morality. So anti-Semitism is a big problem. Hopefully, I mean, you see, the world is fighting against all kinds of things. Possibly we'll get some kind of healing of this terrible malady. Hopefully. Now, how does the Talmud help us to discern evil? Now, Talmud is basically a book of looking into things and yet trying not just to make judgments. It's not a book of laws, but it's a book of asking questions and trying to look at things from many different ways. One of the points about when we deal with evil is it's not always a simple answer, a yes or no simple answer, because things are, as I tried to explain in my little speech before, that good and evil are sometimes mixed with each other, very, very much so. And so we are trained by the Talmud to look into things, to try to sometimes to cut them into the basic pieces, and that is one of the ways of trying to find out what is, in a certain way, what is the evil part and what is a neutral part and what may be even a good part, because in so many things, as well as in so many people, there's a mixture, and the mixture is what makes it so impossible to fight. Because if we had a world in which the evil was also ugly and nasty to the taste, and harmful to the health, and expensive to get, people would possibly not have too much to do with evil. But evil is sometimes the evil. See, some of the most poisonous mushrooms are also the most beautiful ones, and some of the things that are poisonous have a sweet taste, and many things that may be, from looks to films to music, that may look beautiful or enticing, can be very evil inside. So because of that, we need all the time this kind of a cutting things into pieces, trying to find out what is what in every part. It is not an easy part, and learning Talmud helps. But you see, among other things, it's not just the learning. People have to learn and to apply it. And because if you learn and you don't apply, it doesn't do so much good. Now, the notion about Chavruta study, which is learning in pairs, is dangerous. Even in that little part about the dealt with pairs. We dealt with pairs. It spoke about lots of things that are in pairs within the Jewish religion. It's not all the things are made odd. See, we have the subject is the 4 glasses of drinking on Passover. We have so many other things, from the tefillin and tzitzit and many other things that are made in 4s or in pairs. See, mainly, as I try to explain, the pairs in it themselves can be simple, but the pairs have within them the point of difference, of a clash, and sometimes of evil. See, when one learns with the Chavruta, the point is, if it is done well, and if the people are well, then it means that people become more and more friendly. But look, if you learn with somebody, it is not just repeating each other, it is also creating differences. Now, the ability to create differences and to overcome them, that's basically the point of having a successful and a useful Chavruta, as it is with the 4 parts of the tefillin. There are 4, but they are not clashing with each other. In a Chavruta, it is. See, we have always another thing, which goes even beyond that Chavruta. It's more general. It is called about things like marriages. They are also a pair, and the pair can also, as some people find out, can be not always sweet and helpful. But we try to work it out. So the idea of a pairing in itself is not bad, but it has to be understood. When there is one, you usually have one opinion, one way. When you have 2 people, there is a chance of a dispute, a chance of a difference. This has to be overcome by trying to interact, to work together, to combine what are called the weaknesses and the strength of both people. When it is done this way, then the pair becomes a one, and then it works. Why are people fascinated by evil? See, I again can refer you only to the book of Genesis. I mean, it's a good book anyway. You can read it. I know that it's a Jewish audience, but even a Jewish audience is permitted to read the Bible. And surely the book of Genesis. The book of Genesis is speaking about not how. The point is, there is that tree, the forbidden tree, which is dangerous mostly for humanity. The tree of knowledge of good and evil. And when Eve sees the fruit, she says, it's so beautiful, it's so enticing, because in evil there is, as I said, evil is not always ugly. Even a snake has a certain amount of grace in it. They are basically not very ugly. And it is true about many other things that are evil. So evil is involved, is elaborate. It is not basically not very simple. And because of that, it has something that has lots of enticing qualities. More than that, there is a point about it, which is we have, among other things, we have a small part of us which is called to call it Yetzer Hara, which can be understood not only as the evil desire, but also the desire for evil. There is something in us there's a fascination for the forbidden. There's a fascination for the things that are different. There's a fascination for the things that are beyond the place. You can have it with little children that have the same thing of being fascinated with things that are beyond their lines. So we as people, we have also a certain amount of attachment to that part of the things, and because of that, it is fascinating. And when people get into it, they can be swallowed by that. There are books and poetry that try to speak about the power of evil, and perhaps also the beauty and fascination of evil. So there is something like this, and that's what I said about all those stories about the demons, the small demons, the big demons. These demons are not so very frightening, and sometimes we may sometimes try to play with them slightly. I mean, and not seriously. But the point is that some of them are. The picture of a Lucifer is a corrupted angel. And a corrupted angel has the power and the beauty, and so many things that are of evil have the power of being basically as evil mostly is. It's a corruption of something good, and that it has a power in it, and this power has a certain amount of fascination. Very few people are completely immune to it. And as I said, when people know where the devils are, at least they should shun them. If not, you can get involved in them. As say, I think it's a rhyme of the English poet Pope, who wrote about it. First you see evil, abhor it. Later on you can take it, and at a certain time you can tolerate it, and sometimes you fall in love with it. So that is the problem with evil, and all these admonitions to keep away from it, because it can be enticing. So many things can be enticing. Drugs are enticing, and many other kinds of things are enticing. They may be also deadly, but they have this part of it. So we have to remember there is a part of us that is what I call is not just not immune to it, but perhaps has a proclivity for these kinky parts, and we should fight against them and try to get away from them, because they are there in the world. Now, mitzvot, protection against evil, or like the evil in a business suite, can mitzvot hide evil? Now, mitzvot in itself usually don't hide evil. Mitzvot, people that are what I call on the face of it, on the outside, they seem to be terribly religious. Of course, they can hide evil. That is. We cannot fight even against that, and that is a very old problem. Now, mitzvot itself are they are a partial protection, as long as I'm within it, and I'm doing it, and I'm doing more of it. there are a certain kind of a protection, but not a complete one, because in a certain way, mitzvot are ways of behavior. Ways of behavior are not enough. We need also, except for ways of behavior, even the best behavior, we need also what I call more amount of consciousness, of understanding what things are. Because otherwise, we can have all these good things and many mitzvot and not conscious about the other part of it. So that is the point. One of the things about that Judaism as a religion is very much concerned with knowledge, not just knowledge and being connected with knowledge, because knowledge means what is the conscious part of a person. It's not enough to do certain things, because doing these things, even when they are good, may not be helpful at all in this big involvement. So in that we need consciousness, we need deeds, and we need also a certain amount of faith in order to overcome them. No. So now about is evil born within us? Surely it is. Again, to quote the book of Genesis, says that people are born with evil. They are born with evil. We just had an interesting discussion in the Talmud. Does a fetus have evil in it? But sure, they say that when a person is born, a person is born with a certain amount of evil. We are born with evil. So evil is a part of us. It's a part of us because, see, as I try to explain, there is a certain need of darkness and light. The relationship can be useful, but it's always darkness can be dark and too dark and dangerous. So we are born with a certain amount of evil, and it goes with us. And sometimes, if we are not aware, it goes even more and stronger and so on, which is our part of what the Almighty says, one way as a defense and one way of accusation of us, that Yetzer Lev Adam Ra Min Urav. From the beginning we have the evil desire. It's you can find it in the smallest children, in a small way, in their way. You can find it with the old people, very old people. So it is a part of us, and it's a part that we can, as we do with other parts, we try to have certain things, to be able to overcome them, to be able to work them into a better way. But we cannot to get out, to be born without it completely seems to be not a part of humanity. Possibly one can be born an angel, but what good is an angel? An angel doesn't have this glorious way of life, and this because it doesn't have also any evil. Now, this is just a little thing. Talk a little about sin, error, passion, and tshuva from each. Okay, wonderful. I mean, it is just. I suppose you want to sit here for another what I call couple of days, complete, and to listen all of it. Now, there are all kinds of things that to speak about. I'll put it this way: sin is sin, and sin is going after doing something which is evil. That's the basic definition of sin. Sin is doing something which is evil by definition. An error is an error. An error is a part of the incompleteness of our understanding, incompleteness of our behavior. An error can lead to sin. It can lead also sometimes people make a mistake and they fall into a horrible place and get involved there. A person can also by error go into a synagogue and remain there. So an error is in itself just a problem for say the borders of our ability to understand. We make errors. Some of us make them more. Some of us are prone to make errors. Some of us are better, but errors are a part again of the human existence, of the incompleteness of humanity. We make errors continuously, bigger ones and smaller ones. We try to correct, but so errors can lead to any way, to good things, to bad things. But errors are errors. They're just problems that we have. We can sometimes learn and try to do these things better. When a person is driving a car, there is a chance to make an error and to bump into somebody or into a wall. So we try to cut it as much as we can. Can a person say that he's not able to make an error? No. But we can try to do it better. Now, passion is in itself perhaps a very good thing. Basically, a good thing. Passion is when you don't have just a small little feeling, but you have a strong feeling. Now, if the strong feeling goes, and I'm afraid that in so many places, passion is connected, I think mistakenly, with what I call with the wrong side, because again, if I'm quoting another writer that says about Bernard Shaw, writes about it because good things are so little interest for most people that they believe that a person that is suffering and a person mostly is making other people suffering is perhaps the better person. Now, and passion is only left for the things that are not the good things, but basically nothing about it is true. In a certain way, that's my complaint about Jewish practice in America is that basically there are nice Jews and nicer Jews, even more nice Jews, but most of it is without passion. And things without passion cannot really thrive. You cannot have children without passion. And if you want to create things, they need passion. So passion is essential. Now passion is, because it is strong, because it is sometimes moving people from one way or another, passion should be, again, if it is completely uncontrolled, it can become dangerous, that anything that's uncontrolled. But basically it is taking things and making them in a higher level. Okay, so many things need to be in a higher level. So if people will do their prayers, whatever the people call their davening, unluckily, do it with passion, it would be much better. If they would do their mitzvot with passion, it would be much better. And if it goes to doing other things that are on the other side, on the evil side, possibly, I would say, people should put a little bit less passion in it. So, but passion itself. Now, what is tshuva? Tshuva is basically returning. See, returning. That is tshuva. And what does it mean? It means that I went into the wrong way. Now, there are all kinds of things to do about going into the wrong way, into driving into the wrong street, into going into tshuva means I return. Now, let me just explain This returning, I even myself wrote a book or two about it. Returning is not returning to my grandfather. It's maybe a good thing, or my great-grandfather, or great-great-grandfather. It's not just that. That's the point. The point is returning to my inner essence, which is being a Jew, which is an obligation and an inner point in our core. That is the return. Return is we went astray, moving and chasing all kinds of things, which is we are sometimes doing it. See, sometimes you chase things that have no existence whatsoever, or you chase things that when you find them, when you catch them, you find out that they are not worth it. So tshuva is returning in one way, is returning to God, which is always written in the Bible, after the Bible, and God says, "Come back to me." Come back to me, that is tshuva. Tshuva is I'm trying to come back now. Is it easy? Is there a clear sign where he is found? It's not so clear. But even the desire that the person says, okay, even if a person would say, if I would know where he is, I am going after him. That is also the beginning of tshuva. So that is tshuva. Now, can we all of us do it? Of course we can. How easy it is? It's not always easy. One can speak and write about it, but we have still the ability, wherever we are, and in whatever direction we go, we can still make a change. We are not doomed to go in one direction. Even when our life went in this direction, we can change. We can do things better. We can do things much, much better. But it means sometimes I have to move. I have to swerve. Sometimes I have to move from the north to the west, and sometimes I have to go just to change my direction completely. That is what I call. It was an error, whether it was being born in a place like this, whether it was living in a place like this. So tshuva means the ability to return, the ability to change. That is basically the basic notion. It's the basic reason. The point of the word of the verb shuv means turn. So that is the point of turning. That is what it is. Now, it's a question almost about Kabbalah that speaks about the Sphira of Gvura as the mother of evil. But Sphira of Gvura is not the mother of evil, but it is. See, the creation of evil is a creation of things that are, in a way, that are bordered, that we are within certain limits. And in that sense, Gvura, which is the limiting power, is making it possible for these creations to happen in the world. But these are just a possibility. The same thing is also a thing that is the power and the glory and so on in Gvura. It has also in it something which is that part of it, which is also the beginning, making lines, making definitions, making borders is always something that can create also those ungood things. And this is what it is, what it is. So it's a part, but this part is what I call, that is the borderline, and we shouldn't go into the borderline. And when there is a chasm on the border of my field, I shouldn't go there. I should know that is just to mark the border. So evil can be, hopefully in the days to come, when it says when the evil will be taken out of the world, it means that we won't have many of these choices. Now, for the time being, we have to know that there are different ways, and not only one way is right, but there is a way in which you can say evil comes from a kind of narrowing certain lines, and when they are too narrow, they become dangerous. Now, there's one more question, which was what do I think about people are sitting in Berkeley and in a way learning Talmud with me. First of all, I'm thankful in a small way, thankful in a way that, see, when a person works, and writing is a very lonely occupation, so, and this is a connection, a relationship, so this I'm thankful. More than that, look, the point is, what I'm saying, telling everybody, some people are complaining, but I cannot change it. See, people have all kinds of I would say, is it bad things, or at least character things. I say to everybody, to small children of 2 years old, and I tell it to other people who are 72 years old, and even to people that are 102 years old. I tell them, you can do more. And that's, if I want to say something to these 150 people, is, look, you have done, you came to learn. Very good. You came to learn, it's a great achievement, because it's not for all of you a simple and self-understood thing. But if each can do better, and each can do, and let me just say that I saw the people in real life. I'm not speaking about, I'm not just trying to quote all kinds of miracle stories from the past, but I see people in the present, and I see people, again, not just youngsters that just begin their life. I see people that spend their life in one way. There is a huge ability of people to change and to do much more. And that's what I'm telling people. Do much more. Do much more. You can do much more, much better. And there's, in that sense, there's no limit. At least our desire is infinite. And we should allow this kind of a desire to lead us to do whatever we can better. If it is learning, we can do more. If it is applying the learning, we surely can do more. If it is dreaming about the good things, we can do more. And we can basically become much better people. So thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. And hopefully we'll meet face to face also, which is not such a bad thing. And we'll see, perhaps we can do even better.